Deep in the cold, dark water, a diver was searching for sponges. The year was 1901. Down here, the water pushed on him from all sides. It was dark and quiet. He was near a small Greek island called Antikythera. Suddenly, he saw something. He swam back to the surface as fast as he could. He was yelling about a pile of bodies on the seafloor. But they weren't bodies. They were statues from an ancient shipwreck, a ship that had been lost for 2,000 years. Finding this ship was a total accident. The sponge divers were not looking for treasure. They were just doing their job, finding sponges to sell. But a huge storm had hit their little boat. Giant waves tossed them around. They had to hide from the storm near the rocky island of Antikythera. They were lucky to be safe. When the storm finally stopped, one diver went down to check if the anchor was okay, and that's when he saw it. An ancient ship, wrecked on the bottom of the sea, filled with amazing things. The divers brought up beautiful statues and old glass jars, but they also found something else. It was a green, lumpy thing made of metal. It was about the size of a big book. It just looked like a green rock. It was ugly. It wasn't shiny like treasure. For many, many years, it sat in a museum, and almost everyone forgot about it. Decades passed. The ugly green lump just sat there. Then, one day in 1951, something amazing happened. The lump cracked open. A scientist looked inside. What he saw was impossible. It wasn't a rock at all. Inside were wheels with teeth, all fitting together perfectly. They were gears, like the inside of a very fancy clock. The gears were made of a metal called bronze. The teeth on each gear were tiny and perfect. But this thing was from a ship that sank 2,000 years ago. Long before anyone thought people could make something so complicated. It was a secret from a lost time. Scientists were amazed. How could people from 2,000 years ago build something with so many moving parts? A long, difficult journey began, a quest to understand this impossible object. They needed to see inside the lump of rock without breaking it. So they used an early X-ray machine, a special camera that can see through things. The first pictures were blurry. They looked like gray ghosts, but inside the shadows, scientists could just barely see them. More gears. They were packed together, layered on top of each other in a way that seemed too smart, too perfect for the ancient world. It was like finding a tiny, secret engine hidden in a stone. The more they looked, the deeper the mystery became. Every new gear they found made the puzzle harder. This wasn't just a simple clock. It was something much, much more. But what was it for? The answer was locked inside, waiting for a key that hadn't been invented yet. But before we go deeper, we must remember the people who found it. This was the first time in history that divers tried to explore an ancient shipwreck. It was a brand new idea, and it was incredibly dangerous. They didn't have the safe tools that divers use today. They risked their lives for these treasures. One of the divers died from a sickness caused by coming up from the deep water too fast. 2 others were hurt so badly they could never walk again. They gave everything to bring these secrets up from the bottom of the sea. And what a secret it was. As scientists studied the machine more, they realized how advanced it was. It had at least 30 gears, all cut with perfect teeth. They fit together like the parts of a fine watch. This wasn't made by accident. It was built by a genius. One part of the machine was especially amazing. It was a set of gears designed to show the moon's strange path. The moon doesn't move in a perfect circle. It has a little wobble. The ancient inventor knew this and built a special, clever gear system just to copy that wobble. This was a huge clue. It proved the machine's maker wasn't just a good builder, but also a brilliant watcher of the sky. They understood the secret patterns of the sun, moon, and stars. This knowledge was not supposed to exist back then. For a very long time, big parts of the machine were still hidden. The rock was too fragile. Trying to see more might turn the whole thing to dust. The secret of the machine stayed locked away for almost 100 years. Then, everything changed. New technology, far more powerful than the first X-ray machines, was finally ready. Using special 3D scanners, scientists could take thousands of pictures of the object from every angle. A computer could then put all those pictures together, letting them see inside the rock as if it were made of glass. As the special light passed through the metal, The scientists could finally see inside. They saw every single gear, every tiny tooth. It was like a map to a hidden world. And then the shocking truth was revealed. This wasn't just a clock. The Antikythera Mechanism was the world's first computer, made of bronze. It was a mechanical guide to the sky. It had pointers that showed the path of the sun and the moon. It was a tiny universe you could hold in your hands. But it did something even more amazing. A special dial on the back could predict when the sun or moon would disappear in a shadow. It could tell you the exact hour of an eclipse thousands of years ago. Who could have possibly built this? A machine so perfect, it felt like it came from the future. The incredible work points to a single, special workshop. Maybe it was even made by a single forgotten genius. Some think it could be linked to the great inventor Archimedes, who lived 100 years before the shipwreck and was famous for building mechanical spheres that showed the stars. This one machine proves that our picture of the ancient world was wrong. They weren't just thinkers with scrolls. They were incredible engineers with tools. This device hints at a whole history of lost technology. Was this the only one ever made, or are there others still buried under the sand? What other impossible inventions did they build that are now gone forever? The Antikythera Mechanism is more than just an ancient machine. It's like a message in a bottle sent from a lost world, a reminder that history is not a simple path forward. Knowledge can be brilliant, powerful, and then completely lost. This single piece of a shipwreck encourages us to keep exploring, to keep looking for the next forgotten secret waiting in the deep. For many years, the green, rocky lump just sat in a museum. Scientists knew it was important, but they were afraid to study it too closely. They worried that if they tried to open it, the whole thing might crumble into dust. The secret of the strange machine stayed locked inside its metal shell. The biggest question was simple. How could people from 2,000 years ago build something with so many tiny, perfect parts? It was like finding a car engine from a time when people only had horses. It just didn't make sense. Something was missing from our story of the past. Then, a new idea sparked. What if they could look inside the machine without ever touching it? Scientists decided to use a special kind of camera called an X-ray machine. This machine can see through things, like how a doctor can see your bones. They hoped it would show them the secrets hidden inside the green rock. The first pictures came back, and the scientists were shocked. Inside the lump, there were more gears than anyone had ever dreamed, not just a few. Dozens of them, all fitting together like a perfect puzzle. And even more amazing, there were words. Tiny letters were carved all over the gears. The words were like a hidden instruction book. They were written in an old Greek language. The instructions weren't about telling time or making jewelry. They were about the sky. They talked about the sun, the moon, and the planets. The machine wasn't a toy. It was a guide to the entire universe as they knew it. Think about the person who made this. Not a big factory with lots of workers. Probably just one brilliant mind. A forgotten genius who understood how the stars and planets moved. They built this whole thing by hand, carefully cutting each tooth on every single gear. It was the work of a lifetime. So what was its true purpose? It was a machine that could predict the future, not in a magical way. It predicted the future of the sky. By turning a handle on the side, you could see where the sun, moon, and planets would be on any day you chose, far into the future. It could even predict an eclipse. That's when the moon blocks the sun, or when the Earth's shadow covers the moon. To ancient people, an eclipse was a scary, powerful event. But with this machine, the owner would know exactly when it was coming. They could tell everyone not to be afraid. This one machine survived the shipwreck. It was a lucky accident. But it makes you wonder, were there others? Was the ancient world filled with amazing machines like this one? It suggests there is a whole lost world of technology that we know nothing about, all swallowed by time and the sea. And so, the biggest mystery remains. We know what the machine did, but we still don't know how they figured it all out. How did they gain all that knowledge? That is a secret that went down with the ship, a whisper from a time when people knew much more than we ever thought possible.